Operation Sindoor has shown one thing, the true face of Turkey and Azerbaijan. And Indians have now had enough. No travel to these countries that are openly anti-India, pro-Pakistan. 6 out of 10 bookings have been cancelled. If Indians don't go to Turkey, there is a direct hit of $300 million. Azerbaijan is more, an extra. But it's the sentiment that matters, viewers, as New Delhi looks to align its strategic interests with that of its growing economic might and continues to take more decisions. On your screens are the latest measures that the government is taking. Turkey firm has now lost security clearances at key places. What does that mean? Let me now get in Ambassador Kanwal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary, someone who understands this area very closely. Sir, the fact that there is now a growing concerted resentment against the measures taken by Turkey and Azerbaijan, how do you see that, and where do you see that in the larger scheme of the bilateral relations that India has with these countries?
Well, our relations with Turkey are quite limited. In trade, there is not much Turkish investment in India. The total volume of trade is pretty limited. So while whatever trade there is could be hit, it will not make much of a dent in economic terms to the economy of either side. In terms of tourism, Turkey is a huge hub of international tourism, and whereas India does contribute a few tourists, but at the end of the day, it won't matter very much. Turkey, I've been ambassador there. I understand their mindset. They're pretty arrogant in their own ways. They believe that this was one country which was never colonized, and in fact, it colonized parts of Europe. So there is a great deal of hubris in that country, and they're extremely reciprocal in nature. Now, if we take some steps on the economic side, they'll reciprocate.
The fact that there's now a direction taken by the government for a Turkey company where security clearance has been revoked for a Turkish company that was operating at key airports. How do you see that? Because this is not just about Indians in their personal capacity stopping travel to these countries. There is now a government action that has been taken. Well,
I think this would be the right thing to do because it's a Turkish company. It has access to our key airports, and a lot of information of a sensitive nature can be extracted from their presence at these airports and passed on to Pakistan. To that extent, yes, we may want to be cautious, but I don't know what the contract terms are and whether we can unilaterally end the contracts, whether there are any penalties, whether they will be.
But sir, this is not a single message. It's not a single move. It's the larger message, right? That the government is aware of the anti-India, pro-Pakistan stance of Erdogan, Turkey, and is seized of it.
But look, we've been tolerating Turkey interference in our internal affairs a great deal, and we've not been hitting back. Because our approach so far has been is that if we want to be actually a player in West Asia, then we must also touch base with all the principal countries that influence developments there, and have a dialogue with them, have an understanding with them, so that they understand our policies and value our role. Which is why, in addition to Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, of course, Jordan. Turkey cannot be ignored. That was what our thinking was, because Turkey plays a very vital role. Look at what's happening in Syria, what's happening in Iraq. Also, their relationship with Iran, that's a different story. Then Turkey and Saudi Arabia have been at loggerheads for a long time. So this was why we stayed our hand and did not actually reciprocate or react to retaliate to the provocations by Turkey. For example, we've never raised the Northern Cyprus issue. They talk about Kashmir. We can easily retaliate by saying that you are an illegal occupation of Northern Cyprus. No country in the world has recognized their occupation of Northern Cyprus, apart from Turkey itself. They are bombing Iraq, the Kurdish people in Iraq. Look at what they've done in Syria. They've occupied parts of Syria. Look at what they've done to their own Kurdish population.
Indeed.
Over the years, actually grossly violated their human rights and have been in a civil war with them for a long time. We have never raised these issues because we didn't think it was necessary. On the other hand, Erdogan lately,
Yes.
initially no, because he came to India and all that.
Yes.
Lately, he's become very Islamic oriented in his thinking.
Absolutely.
And he's supporting Pakistan on the basis of the Islamic network. He intervenes on the Kashmir issue. He's the only leader who raises the Kashmir issue, mentions Kashmir in the UNGA. Now, of course, Azerbaijan for the first time has
Absolutely.
done that. Otherwise, Turkey is in the OIC. Turkey takes the lead in all the terrible resolutions against
Indeed.
India. But we have never reacted. So it's time that we reacted and showed our teeth a little bit so that Turkey takes note that it cannot be that they can do what they want vis-a-vis Pakistan
Absolutely.
and also arm them and this and that. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad that some steps are being taken. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ambassador Sibal, for giving that perspective. At the end of the day, Turkey wants to play the game of being the leader of the Muslim world. But those measures, those positions are now going to hit back at Turkey and Ankara, given that New Delhi is taking a position.